Hello there, viewers of High Television. Good morning to you all, and you are welcome to the first edition of the week for today, as today is Monday, the 11th of December 2023. On this program, Press Brief, the newspapers always come first. We'll be back to give you what they're saying. Once more, you're heartily welcome on board to the program Press Brief representation. I am attending Larry Kevin Tabot. We start off with this first and last parts of the program with the media newspaper. The media newspaper for today of Stephen Ojong have as lead story. It says 2023 Human Rights Report. Shada catalogs over 300 killing, 500 arbitrary arrests in Cameroon. That is what you can find on the publication of Stephen Ojong as the world celebrated the World International Human Rights Day yesterday. That was a report done for us by the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, Shada, headed by Nkongo Felix Agbo. We'll move over to this other story that says already segmented in three parts. Bias halt maneuvers to auction Camtel. 24 Barrister Nico Halef forever impacting life scoops 3 more awards. Get to read that story on page 5. Info a show for today says presidential elections 2025 in Cameroon. It talks of the alliance for Camto, the Camto alliance, following his party general convention that took place at the Yaoundé Congress Hall in downtown Yaoundé. That is what you can find on page 3 on that story that took place over the weekend. Coupe Franc of Jean Bruno Tani talks of anarchy that reigns in Fikafort following his book that was launched over the weekend. Get to read more on that set paper for this morning. At the 53rd session, the 53rd ordinary board meeting of ATIC, that is the Cameroon Telecommunication Regulatory Board, it talks of the validation of some key resolutions. Get to read that story on page 4 on Info Asho newspaper for today. Le Popoli, the Saturday newspaper for this morning, reports on this MRC party Congress. It says Camto replaces the penalty. You can find that story on that said paper for today. And we move away from the satiric paper of Le Popoli to the next paper of Emergence. Emergence says 2024 finance law, how the opposition imposed amendment for the finance law for 2024 that was championed by the PCRN party MP Cabral Libri. MRC Congress come to re-elected national president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party. We move over to the Cameroon Medical Council, where Dr. Rodolphe Fonkwa has been elected as the new president to pilot the affairs of the medical corps in the country, known as the Cameroon Medical Council. La Grande Tribune du Sud for today says 11 days after the purported release of Jean-Pierre Mogo Belinga and Maxime Eko. You can find that story on La Grande Tribune du Sud newspaper for today. La Meteo comes back to the Martinez Zogo affair. It says the track of the second person involved in the killing of the journalist of Amplitude FM in Yaoundé. That is what Lambeteyo is telling us for this morning. From La Meteo, we take you now to municipal updates. Municipal updates for today says 2023 third quarter report reveals over 200 murder cases in Cameroon. Lebialem's STO salutes Wabani municipality's resilience. You can find that story on page 5. Stakeholders adopt guide for parents of children suffering from cancer. Get to read that story on page 2. To better relay message to the population, Northwest Public Independent Conciliator Schools national language broadcasters on the way to go across the Northwest region. We move away from municipal updates. We take you now to the next paper for today. That is the Reporter Hebdo. Reporter Hebdo for today talks of fuel shortage in the country. It says fuel scarcity, coup d'etat. That's a question that paper is asking for this morning. Reporter Hebdo for this day. Mutation of Thierry Diaga says the finance law hit back winner. Get to read that story on that paper for today. University of Montagne, he says Jean Goncang has been appointed as the president of that university, the Montagne in Bankante in the west region of the country. We'll move over to the next paper for today, the Guardian Post. The Guardian Post of Christian Garcia at MRC elective convention, opposition drums fresh coalition to unseat Biya. To maximize revenue collection, Kavaige Jibril urges government to speedily implement new mining code that was proposed by Cameroon's interim minister of mines, Focalitus Gentry. We take you to at maiden visit to Yaoundé. Babatsu Fon crusades peace, living together amongst his subjects. Moving over to the next paper for this day, Hebdomio Mensala reports on the Central African sub-region. It says Paul Biya, the big chancellor. Get to read that story on that paper following his receiving in audience by the Gabonese military head of state, Brice Oligui Nguema, to Cameroon for a 24 hours working session of last week. 2024 budget, Andre Eyebe IC defends the envelope of 20.85 billion CFA francs in front of parliamentarians. Get to read that story on that set paper for today. The Ngun Festival has been inscribed on UNESCO's Festival Heritage List. You can find more on that set paper on page 2. Moving over to the next paper, The Nation. The Nation reports on Kaduna bombing mistake. Defense chief begs Nigerians. And PIID at London court awards 20 million British pounds cost to Nigerian favor. Wrap up with this one of 60 years of pollution dissolution in Ogun State. Get to read that story on page 19 on The Nation for this morning. From The Nation, we come back to Cameroon with Lavini. Lavini talks of the availability of fuel. Get to read that on that paper for this day. Taking you to the UK with The Guardian. The Guardian says rival Tory tribes threaten Sunak authority over Rwanda scheme. And in that said paper, it's so cool. Winter and disease take hold in Gaza. You can read that story on page 5. Financial Times for today comes back to the newly inaugurated president of the Argentine Republic. Well, who is he and what does he stand for? Get to read the intricacies on the new president of Argentina on page 5. Small businesses as FCA to intervene over harsh guarantees on banks' loan. Get to read that financial situation of the UK for today. We'll move over to this other story that is Info Majeur newspaper for today evaluates the road system in the country for 2023 and what is a way forward of the Ministry of Emmanuel Ngannou Nchomisi. Get to read that on page 5 to page 9 on that said paper. Presidential elections 2025, the case of Maurice Kamto. Get to read that political story on page 5. We'll be moving over to the next paper. Info Martin for today talks of end of year festivities, scarcity of fuel across major towns and cities in the country, Cameroon. You get to read that story on page 4 as details are being provided on that publication. We'll move over to the Actual for this day. It talks of the public sector. It says the privatization of Camtel is not the order of the day following the envisaging of some unscrupulous Cameroonian ministers who wanted to auction Camtel and put it on privatization, and that was followed by the reaction from the head of state who says Camtel is not up for sale. We'll move away from Camtel this time around with Jean-Marie Bougam. He talks of the the Assistant Director General of the World Health Organization who comes out with negotiation with businesses in the amelioration of security and basic health situation. And BJFID talks of Bankomo, a primary school and nursery school that was inaugurated by this banking institution known as BJIF Bank Cameroon. You can find more on the society impact from that banking institution in the country. Moving over to Eco Matin, another economic newspaper that reports on the danger that surrounds public debt in Cameroon as the country keeps on borrowing. The paper reports it's quite a worrisome issue in the economy of Cameroon. We'll move away from the borrowing rate of the Cameroon government to hydrocarbon products. The paper reports on the shortage of hydrocarbon products across major towns and cities. And the paper is proposing on the way forward from this current quagmire, get rid attempted solutions on page 9 on Eco Matin, Eco News for this morning. I beg your pardon. L'Indépendant for this day talks of the Douala Port Authority, the business situation with CCJA and the Bolloré group of companies. We move now to Nga Simi Lutini. It says OBC, my jet for this structure. You can find that story on that set paper for today. Cameroon's news for this morning talks of the It talks of who is more fit to replace Alhaji Abu, who died last month in the who is a local from the Adamawa region as a big scribe of the CPDM political party in the Adamawa region, as reported to us by Cameroon's news for today. Literature, Anarchy, that is the book of journalist Jean Bruno Tanguy, who actually says the anarchy that reigns in Fecafoot, who was one time a supporter of Samuel Eto'o, but both gentlemen fell out. We'll move now to sports paper. Punch Sports Extra for this day talks of decision day. Can Osimhen break men 24 Jack, and went further to say Oshoala in line for the 6 women awards, and this other one talks of Nomaze Abiome first awards. We are talking of the African Cup of Nations Ballon d'Or, or the African Ballon d'Or for the continent. We'll take you to this other one, Newcastle Louis Jean move, and LeBron Davis starts in Lakers NBA Cup win. We'll move now to the next publication for today. Prospect Novel talks of the adoption of the Ngon Festival in the annals of the UNESCO's book as World Heritage Festivals in the world. And so the paper celebrates that and says a big win for motherland Cameroon. The Cameroon Medical Council, Dr. Rodolphe Fonquab, is elected president of that prestigious organization. We move over to collective territorial decentralization. The paper reports on the accusation coming from government when it comes to certain territorial issues. That follows the press conference of the Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson Rene Emmanuel Sadi. We move over to the next paper for today. We take you right up to this one from Nouvelle Horizon. It says Fecafoot 2 years after Samuel Eto'o's mandate started. You can find more on the 2 years of the occupant of the Chinga headquarters of the FA in Yaoundé. We move over to this female handball tournament. It talks of the defeat of the Indomitable Lions from that ongoing championship taking place over there. We'll be moving next door to the next paper for today. That is the next paper for today. Luju of Haman Mana talks of Jean-Michel Nuncho. Maurice Kamto needs to be ready for 2025, as he says he is a strong supporter and endorser of the Cameroon Minister Movement Party President Maurice Kamto for 2025 presidential elections. Grill on the repatriation of budget for 2024. We'll move away from Loju. We take you now to the next and last newspaper for this morning. The last paper for today is Innovation. It says Dieudonné Abuem. It says after 500 million CFA francs that was put in place for the investment of electrification and construction of market. What has become of this? The paper gives attempted answers on page 5 to 6. And we take you to this other innovation when it comes to this newspaper of Innovation for this morning. The paper announced of more innovations as the year ends. We'll wrap up with the convention of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party and the resolutions taken by militants and sympathizers of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party that saw Maurice Kamto elected as president of that party. With Innovation newspaper viewers of High Television, we won't be having the second part of the program reserved for our reviewer. But with that, we say this is what concludes this edition of Press Brief for today, the Monday, the 11th of December 2023. Stay tuned in the company of High Television as more interesting programs are coming your way. From us to you, it's Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.